Welcome to What If Chronicles. Today, we're diving back into 2003 to explore one of the biggest what-if questions of modern history. What if the United States had never invaded Iraq? This was a massive turning point in history, and imagining its alternative reality opens up endless possibilities. So buckle up, and let's journey into this alternate world. Part 1. Middle Eastern Power Balance and Saddam's Reign. If the U.S. hadn't invaded Iraq, Saddam Hussein would likely have remained in power. So what does that mean for the Middle East? Imagine this, a region where Saddam's regime still holds sway, potentially creating a strange type of stability. Of course, there would still be tension, especially with Iran. Saddam would continue trying to strengthen Iraq's position while balancing against neighboring countries, keeping regional politics tightly woven. It's also possible that Saddam's control could have led to new diplomatic efforts. Gulf countries might have engaged more directly with Iraq on issues like oil and security. This could have kept the region a bit more contained, with fewer international players involved. Part 2. Oil markets and economic impacts. Now, the U.S. invasion shook up the global oil market, sending prices soaring. Without that invasion, oil prices might have remained stable, potentially avoiding some of the economic ripples that shook the early 2000s. Global markets could have been steadier, especially in emerging economies that heavily rely on oil imports. Many economists believe a more stable oil market might have provided a better foundation for global growth. Developing countries might have seen more foreign investment, while oil-rich nations could have had more predictable income to invest in regional projects. Part 3. Iraq's internal dynamics and social change. So what would things look like inside Iraq? Without the U.S. invasion, Iraq's internal dynamics would still be complex. Saddam's regime was known for its harsh rule, which created its own version of order. But this might have led to increased unrest over time. Without international intervention, perhaps an internal revolution could have emerged as Iraqis sought change. Alternatively, diplomatic pressure from other nations could have forced Saddam to ease restrictions. In this scenario, Iraq's ethnic and religious groups might have found themselves negotiating with Saddam's government rather than facing external interference. Part 4. Terrorism and the rise of groups. Like ISIS, the U.S. invasion is often linked to the emergence of extremist groups, with ISIS being one of the most significant. Without the power vacuum created by the invasion, groups like ISIS might not have gained as much ground or expanded as rapidly. But that doesn't mean there wouldn't be any regional unrest. Instead, militant groups might have focused on local conflicts and alliances, growing more slowly. A more stable Iraq might have also meant fewer opportunities for extremist recruitment, reducing the appeal of radical ideologies. It's interesting to think that, in this alternate reality, the very face of terrorism might have looked completely different. Part 5. U.S. Domestic Politics and Shifts in Focus. Back in the U.S., the Iraq War sparked fierce debates and altered Americans' trust in their government. But if the invasion had never happened, it's possible that the U.S. could have concentrated on domestic issues. Resources dedicated to the war could have gone towards education, healthcare, or infrastructure. This also means the political landscape in the U.S. might have shifted, with fewer anti-war sentiments and perhaps a stronger focus on economic policies. The social effects would be long-reaching, potentially changing everything from national attitudes towards foreign intervention to voting behaviors in future elections. Part 6. Global Politics and Reactions from Other Countries. Without a U.S. invasion, we'd also see a different dynamic in global politics. Countries like France and Germany, who opposed the invasion, might have taken a more active role in the region through diplomatic channels. European powers could have worked towards fostering stability in Iraq by engaging in negotiations rather than dealing with the aftereffects of war. In a world where the U.S. never invaded Iraq, the ripple effects would be felt everywhere, from the Middle East stability to global oil markets, and from American politics to the rise of extremist groups. History is always a series of choices, and it's amazing to think how a single decision could reshape so many lives. If you're curious about other big what-ifs, let us know in the comments. History is full of alternative paths, and we're just getting started exploring them. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more alternative history scenarios, don't forget to subscribe to What If Chronicles. And if you found this journey through what could have been fascinating, give us a like to show your support. Thanks for watching, and well, see you on the next trip through time.